Hey, welcome everybody to the Freedom Frequency podcast. My name is Aaron. Thank you for joining today. And we are kind of getting back on schedule, which is nice. So we've got a few things in the news here that I want to talk about first, and then we'll jump into today's topic, common law versus statutory law, because this seems to come up a lot in discussions and a lot of misinformation and in these other individuals just like to throw these words around. So let's get into it. As always, anything you hear on here does not constitute tax or legal advice. It's just one person's opinion on the topic. And before we get into it, let's hear from the folks over, or actually, you know what? We are going to skip all. I kind of wanted to skip through things today, but basically, let's do this. If you're looking for DIY templates, if you're looking for more information, if you want to get on our call that is coming up with the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto, make sure you head over to the PMAmanifesto.com. You can also join the Facebook group and the Telegram group for the Freedom Frequency. You can head over to East Coast PMA. Still haven't changed that over yet, but you can go there for DIY templates. You can also go there to schedule a time with me. Or if you want to talk to the ladies over at the PMA Manifesto, you can schedule stuff with them over there. And if you join the Facebook group, you get a discount code for the PMA Manifesto. So find the Facebook group PMA Manifesto and join that. Erica lets everybody in usually on a Wednesday, Thursday. And then our last thing here is that if you want to take back your computer sovereignty, you want to head over to Start9 and pick up one of their systems. And they have a code for any of the listeners here. If you use Rebel Alliance, you get 5% off. So that being said, let me see if I can share my sketch. I don't even know if I need to share my screen. I got the audio seemed to work yesterday too, which was fantastic. That was great. So if you missed that, you can actually see commentary on a video. But let's just jump into some quick news that's been going around. Man was busted in Boston, accused of fentanyl. He was accused fentanyl trafficker, wanted for murder in the Dominican Republic. And this happened on April 2nd. Let's see here, a 27-year-old Dominican national near his residence in Massachusetts in the Boston area was arrested basically for smuggling fentanyl. Let's see, he is not lawfully, he's illegally here in the country. He had a whole bunch of other charges and stuff like that. So ICE had I guess I'd had a run with this guy a few times before, but yeah, you know, this is where we are as a country. So yeah, West Roxbury District. He was also arraigned. That's right, arraigned in the same month for in West Roxbury court for strangulation, suffocation, and assault and battery of a household family member. So a real nice guy. He's still here. Having a good time. Next, the thing I want to cover real quick is the surveillance state is in full force. I don't know if you heard about this. This was at the end of March where Google was ordered to testify on who watched certain videos. And they basically had this big court battle. There was a video that had to do with a possible bomb threat, and there was a live video feed, I guess, in the area. They had over 30,000 viewers watching it. And basically the court, it was ordered that they wanted the names, addresses, phone numbers, and account activity of each Google user and IP of everyone who watched the video for law enforcement. So yeah, so there's that. That's pretty exciting that nothing's really private anymore, I guess, these days. And then you have let's see here, I'll just rewind this video. You should be able to hear the audio of this. This has to, you can't make this stuff up. So a Texas National Guard soldier deployed from McAllen to Eagle Pass under Operation Lone Star was busted for attempting to smuggle illegal immigrants in government vehicles on Sunday. And so you can hear a little bit of this. So listening to this, they basically pulled this car over. They got the guy inside. A Hispanic male jumped up and ran out of the car. They pulled the driver out, who then apparently was a Texas Guard member. and you can find it on X if you search for it. And basically, he got scared, and then it turned into higher crimes because he was in possession of a firearm. And then we have Butler County, Ohio sheriffs held press conference on 329, and I'll play this for you real quick. It's pretty quick. It's about 36 seconds. Hopefully, let's see here if it's gonna play or not. It's playing. Where are we?
If that's not straight,
There we go.
Straight in front. If that's not a crisis, I don't know what a crisis is. And these people aren't vetted. They're coming across, and we have no idea who they are. Weapons. Now, he's carrying a loaded firearm. How does he get that loaded firearm? He's not carrying that pistol to go hunting. He's carrying it. And has he killed anybody? He's admitted to all this. He's admitted that's him. And we don't know what all he's done.
So basically, there was illegal immigrants charged with murder, and they had all of them up there in this video. You can find it on X if you're interested in seeing it. Just some things I wanted to bring to your attention. As we continue to build our communities and start our associations and connect with others who have a goal that is similar to ours and want to, have a more prosperful, man, it's going to be a hard day today. Uh, and and live a more free life. I hate it when the words just don't want to come out of your mouth sometimes. We still have to be aware of everything that may not necessarily be in our backyard yet, but it is coming, folks. This stuff is rampant. There's all kinds of people who are unvetted in this country that aren't here for asylum. Let's just leave it at that. And so that being said, let's get into today's topic. If I can find my show notes here. So some of this stuff I'm going to read verbatim so I get it right. And then other stuff we'll just talk about. If you have comments or questions, feel free to hit them up in the comment section, and I'd be more than happy to answer them on the live feed here today. And I just think I haven't had enough coffee yet. That's why I'm stumbling over myself, or it's the fact that I didn't take my Alpha Brain, which, surprisingly enough, as a nootropic, that helps pretty well. All right, so common law is also is often referred to as case law. Now, you'll hear a lot of people online talk about, common law this, common law courts, common. But they like to leave out all the other different aspects of law unless it benefits them in some way. So common law is often referred to as case law. It originated from judicial decisions handed down by courts. Over centuries, judges have interpreted laws, resolved dilemmas, and established legal principles through the rules. And these decisions turn into what we call precedents, shaping the future of judgments and guiding the development of law. Now, there is a lot of case law out there, or common law. So if you go to CaseMine, if you go to Google Scholar, you can look up all different Supreme Court cases, local cases, everything like that, that shows how judges have already ruled on one topic or another. So that was something when we started doing work with the unincorporated associations, we wanted to see where they failed, where they've gone well. And that's why, eyes are on Amos Miller so much, because this is going to be a case that sets precedents for other associations that deal with organic, whole milk, eggs, meats, butters, all those different things that aren't regulated, because we as adults and individuals should be able to choose what we want to put in our body. And if I don't want to suck down a McDonald's cheeseburger, fries, and a cup full of aspartame, then that should be my choice if I want to eat something that's a little bit more healthy. So, one thing about common law is that common law is flexible. Judges have the autonomy to adapt legal principles into new situations as society changes, ensuring that laws remain relevant and responsive. The thing you have to remember is that common law principles are not codified in statutes, but evolve gradually through the accumulation of judicial decisions. Now, one thing we can say is that, common law, it's been around for a very long time. I think there's 10 countries that still follow common law. If I remember correctly, that could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. But anyways, we took our common law system from England when we colonized here back in the day, so to speak. So the next thing that you hear a lot about is statutory law, or statutes aren't laws, codes aren't laws. And we're going to get into some of that stuff today. You'll hear these people that will talk out their rear end about this stuff because they have no idea what they're talking about, or they read some book. I don't have it in front of me. Do I have it? Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Wait 1 second. All right, so back. Sorry about that. So, or they'll get books like this, which I got it because I want to see what everybody's talking about and reading it. There's a whole series of these books, and they talk about different things that seem like legal stuff, but they're just pulling it out of context. And, anyways, you know how I feel about that. So, in contrast to common law, you have statutory law, which is created by your elective legislative bodies. And that could be at the state level, that could be at the federal level. So like in Connecticut, we have Connecticut general state statutes, and it lists everything from the penal code to criminal acts to civil stuff, torts, and everything in between. So there are laws enacted by institutions setting forth specific rules and regulations governing various aspects. Unlike common law, statutory law is codified and often addresses contemporary issues or social concerns that may not be addressed by existing common law principles. So, where are my notes that I want to get to? So, again, statutory law reflects the legislative bodies. It provides a clear and defined or definitive expression of the rule or the statute that's being created. So, if it's a statute against harassment, right, there might be whatever. I don't know it off the top of my head right now. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but Connecticut General State Statute for harassment there, and it outlines exactly what is considered harassment, and it's harassment the first, second, and third degree. So you have different degrees of that statute, which are then laws. So one thing to remember with the way I think of it, and this is just my opinion, is that statutory law is not immune to ambiguity and being ambiguous or having any gaps. And the courts may still need to interpret legislative intent while applying statutes to specific cases. Um, so let's see, what do I want to jump on here next? There, and it's kind of like two sides of the coin if you think about it that way, with the common law versus statutory law. Like you hear a lot of, you know, again, like, oh, well, I'm not gonna, statutory laws aren't, statutory provisions aren't laws, or whatever you want to refer to them as, until you're like, oh, well, I'm going to hit somebody off with a criminal complaint. Now I want to look at statutory laws, in my, state statutes in my area, or, US code, if it's, something of like deprivation of rights or something like that. So, um, let's see, what else did I want to talk about here? So, when it comes to interpretation of statutes, courts often rely on common law principles to interpret ambiguous language or gaps in statutory provisions. I was saying in a few minutes ago, by examining the precedents of legal principles established through prior cases, judges can discern legislative intent and apply statutes in a manner consistent with established legal norms. And then, now remember, with any of this, the Constitution is still the supreme law of the land. So anything that um, basically goes against the Constitution, or contradicts the Constitution, is a repugnant law. And I cannot remember the case off the top of my head. I don't have. I should know this one too, and I don't have it. Um, man, don't you hate when you just have those brain moments? Um, yeah, so just keep that in mind, that you can kind of go back and forth with this stuff. It's not just like it's a common law court. And no, it's just, what if you're in there for tort law or tort case, or what if you're in there for criminal versus civil? There's all different types of law. Just people just get wrapped up around certain things. So um, I guess the biggest takeaway is, remember that common law is based on cases, and it's sometimes considered case law, and it's the precedents that has been set by previous judges and decisions, whether it's the Supreme Court or the local state court. That is where you are going to get your common law from. And then your statutory laws come into handy if you are trying to hold someone accountable for, let's say, they are harassing you and there's a statutory, a state statute that says, hey, this is what harassment is in the first degree. And if you do A, B, C, and D, you're guilty of harassment in the first degree. So you can be charged with that. And that's where those statutes are going to come into play if you're looking at criminal complaints. Like when Dave Merlin was on here, he was talking about criminal complaints and that sort of thing, holding elected officials accountable for things that they're doing if they're, lewd acts with a child because they want some, in my opinion, pornographic book being read to children in school. So there's different aspects of this that you need to make sure that you understand. And, there is a lot of good information online. Just be careful where you go. If you would like more information on this or a certain topic, let me know. There's a plenty of stuff I can get, stuff that I didn't write that, it's very informative so you can understand this. And I think what happens is people forget the old acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and they really try to make this more than what it needs to be. And you just have to remember that, okay, well, a statutory law comes from a legislative body. A common law comes from a court ruling, and it could have been from 1808 or whenever, what is it? Hale versus Hinkle. A lot of people refer to, I think that was 18 something. So just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to codes, and I hear this a lot, oh, codes are laws. Codes are a form of statutory law and indeed are laws. They are legal codes and a systematic collection and a compilation of laws, rules, regulations, and statutes enacted by a legislative body. Now, you could have, like I said before, civil law, criminal law, administrative, commercial law, all different types. But when you start talking about codes, for example, you have civil codes. These codes govern private relationships and typically cover areas such as contracts, property rights, family law, and tort, right? So there is a certain code, civil codes, or criminal codes. These codes define criminal offenses. It's like we were talking about some of the general state statutes. And then you have commercial codes and your administrative codes, which establish rules and procedures for operations of government agencies and administrative processes. So these are all different things that you need to, you know, kind of just be aware about, because somebody will be like, oh, well, that's a town ordinance, isn't a law. Well, it's your elected officials put it into place. It's a law. It's an ordinance within your town. It's a law created by a legislative body. So these are some of the things that you have to keep in mind, because I think a lot of people forget this stuff or they just don't know it. So what they end up doing is they go to some Carl guy on YouTube that reads off a bunch of stuff that sounds really good, but they're cherry picking what they want. And what I try to do here, and you all know that listen to this channel or watch these videos or call me for a conference and we do a consultation call, like the guy I talked to the other day, I totally didn't give him the information that he wanted. Well, I gave him the information he wanted. It wasn't the information he wanted to hear. I felt like he probably thought I was going to go like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm not in this for any monetary reasons. I'm in this because I want everybody to live a more free life without the tyrannical overreach of our government. And our government's too fat and happy. And I think we need a leaner, less intrusive government. And, we need to understand how this system works, because for so long it hasn't been taught anywhere. And that's why I love Dr. Graves' course. You go over to Dr. Graves and you learn how the legal system works at like an 8th grade level. Anybody can read his course, go through it, look at the examples, the templates, listen to his audio, watch his video, get in his Telegram group. And if you start talking nonsense, it's just it gets turned away, and he tells you no, that's not going to work that way. Like when you start hearing different legal theories, we'll talk about that. Let's see here. Hey, thanks for coming by, man. Good to see you. And we will, this just reminded me to get you on here soon, man. We will talk. Hopefully I'll see you on the call this week with the PMA Manifesto group. We'll be, I think it's Friday. I don't think it's this Friday. Maybe it's next Friday. Don't. I'm terrible at this. Just get into the PMA Manifesto group. So, anyways, my point is that you get a lot of people that want to say, oh, well, you need to be in a common law court because the court's got a gold fringe flag. That has nothing to do with it. It's just decorative. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. You need to understand that if you are arguing something and you want to, use previously ruled cases or case law, which are, like we talked earlier, have been used to resolve disputes and have been used over centuries, then that's what you need to go dig up and need to look. So, okay, so I had a neighbor and they took down my fence. Okay, so okay, so there's somebody has trespassed on your property, someone has committed something wrong against you. Okay, let's look at other cases that can support this. And I guess I should tie this all back to association. So, with that being said, I don't want to talk too much about it until next week, but we have some issues here in Connecticut that I'm working with some attorneys on and some other people on. Oh, it's tonight? Oh man, I gotta make sure I'm ready for that. Thanks, dude. These the girls yell at me all the time. I think it's like, hey, where are you? Or hey, don't forget it's tonight. Yeah, so I guess it's tonight. So make sure you're on. So thanks, man, for that. So it's just one of those things where once we're done with it here in Connecticut, we have the Office of Early Childhood banging on the doors, and it was like a uh, yeah, that's right. Free PMA discussion open Q&A Thursday, April 4th at 8 p.m. Head over to the pmamanifesto.com to get on the newsletter. There should be a link on the main page too to get into the meeting group for that tonight. So basically, earlier this week, my phone blew up. I had just gotten out of work, came home, tried to sleep, and my phone was blowing up because there were three associations that have been challenged, two that were challenged I didn't even know were in the state, so somebody else did their paperwork. The other three I've kind of worked with here and there, and so now we've got. I wanted in-person meetings, but we're going to have to do uh, what is it? It's not Zoom. It's Microsoft Groups Meets, whatever the hell it's called. So we got some things coming up with them, and I don't want to talk about anything until after it's all said and done. And whether it works out good or bad, I will be more than happy to share everything with you guys, because this is why I try to bring in some of this legal stuff at a very basic level, because it can be very overwhelming if you start getting into different aspects of it. But I think we all need to understand how to have a basic knowledge. And I think that starts with Dr. Graves' course. You can find the link on East Coast PMA, but it allows you, one, not to panic when you get a knock on the door from some state agency, or you get a letter in the mail saying maybe you have you're operating an unlicensed childcare facility, even though you're not. You're just unincorporated and you're not at the state level, but there's more to it than that, but you get what I'm saying, right? So let's say you're just doing something and you get a cease and desist to stop. A lot of these other groups are going to tell you not to worry about it because you're in the private domain and you don't have to answer to them and you don't have to do anything about it. That's not the case. I've seen it here on more than one occasion, three this past week in Connecticut. And I think that's just because they don't like one of the statutes we're using against them, so to speak. Because they don't have control, and the state just wants control. The federal government, they all just want that control over us, right? And so I don't know, I'm probably going to start sneezing now because my allergies are killing me this week. But these are the things we need to understand. Okay, if we're going to reference to people should always first remember their Fourth Amendment right. Got a warrant? No, get off my porch. You're trespassing. Yeah, pretty much. Keep it simple, right? So, this is why I try to bring some of these topics up. Like, okay, you hear a lot of people online talk about common law. Well, what is common law exactly? And like we talked about today, there's really not much to it. It's case law. It's originates from judicial decisions handed down by the courts. It's very simple. It's not all this mythical stuff that some people talk about. Okay, what's a statutory law? It's a law made by a legislative body of your elected officials, right? So these are some of the things that you need to understand. And okay, if I get a notice from, let's say, a licensing department saying, hey, you're operating an unlicensed childcare facility, what are my next steps? How do I answer this? Or what if I get somebody that's just harassing me all the time about what I'm doing? Or, you know, for example, we had one group and they had somebody from one of these agencies parking across the street in their neighbor's yard in an unmarked vehicle, right? Didn't say like police on it or enforcement or anything like that, or, you know, DCF or Department of Child Services or whatever the hell that stands for. Uh, so the my point was, I said, okay, well, your neighbor calls you not knowing who this is. You have an idea of who you think it is. I'm like, call local cops. Tell them you got somebody watching your house. It's weird. It's creeping you out. And that person never came back because they didn't have permission to be there in the first place from the local law enforcement agency. Even if you are a private investigator, you have to let the local law enforcement agencies know that, hey, I'm going to be in the area doing an investigation on whatever, right? So these are just some of the things that I think it's important. If you're going to have an association, you need to understand, okay, if I am challenged, what exactly and now am I looking for? So, okay, let's look at other cases that are similar. Now, there might not be one, that's a possibility. So we have to look at other different opinions from other cases that are similar in nature. Maybe it's some type of constitutionality violation that's happening, you know. And like I tell everybody every time on these, well, most of the time in these videos, you need to get into your law library. Here in Connecticut, they're like, it's in my local courthouse. I can go to the next town over, walk right in through the metal detectors, go up to the law librarian, ask her or him, whoever's working, because most of the time they're attorneys. Hey, I need some information on this. Where can I go to find more information on unincorporated associations or cases regarding unincorporated associations? And they'll be able to point in the right direction. And half the time they do the research for you, which is great. So you need to know, like, okay, if I got this going on, all right. Well, first of all, maybe I want to go Dave Merlin's route and I want to say, okay, well, you are harassing me. You're sending me whatever in electronic communication. So maybe there's some statute there or some federal code that I can use to file a complaint against you, right? That might be one way of doing it while you're trying to defend yourself in another way. So, you know, that sort of thing. Let's see what else is. Let's see what do we got here. Keep in mind that the process of obtaining a restraining order against municipal harassment officers is the same for any other person. Yep, exactly. And they are not immune from restraining orders. Yep, you are correct. So again, these are things that all these other individuals who talk about unincorporated associations or PMAs as they call them, they're going to tell you that you're in the private. You don't have to answer on anybody. You can do what you want. You can sell what you want. You can act however you want. And to some extent, yes, you have that privacy. You have that private contractual agreement between you and your members. You can do certain things, but if you are breaking the law, you're breaking the law. And that's one thing that they, you know, they don't want to tell people, or that you can use it for somehow to beat taxes or not pay you know, income tax or something like that, which just isn't the case. And we've proven it in the manifesto and other talks that we've done. So, you know, this was supposed to be a kind of a, let's see here. The state police powers intrude into private contracts, unfortunately. Yes, if you're doing something wrong, right? You can have, I could have a private contract with Salam and say, hey, man, I'm going to sell you, I don't know, maybe he wants to start juicing and get real big in the gym, right? I'm going to sell you illegal steroids that I got from Mexico when, you know, my cohorts came over the border illegally, right? Like I can't do that. It's still illegal. You still no contract in the world, no irrevocable trust, no international irrevocable third dimension trust or whatever these people are trying to sell is going to make a damn bit of difference. You're if you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law is my point. So that being said, you know, yeah, well, you know, let me see what I can do for you, man. That's a good one. Thanks. I needed that. That was a good laugh after this week. So, yeah, it's been a trying week. For those of you who don't know, yesterday, if you weren't in the live, I had eye surgery for the third time on my left eye. So last summer, I detached my retina, bridge jumping with my two oldest kids, and for whatever reason, my retina detached from jumping in the water. I guess I have bad eyes already because I'm so nearsightedness. So my insurance screwed me. And when I was up in Maine, they wouldn't approve the surgery because I didn't realize it was an emergency surgery because I was out of network. I missed my opportunity for surgery there. I had to come back right away from Maine, and I had to wait 7 days, which the longer you wait for retinal detachment, the worse it gets. The doctor couldn't get me in for almost, I think it was like 6, 7 days. Got in and did the surgery. The retina reattached, ended up getting really bad cataract in that eye because of the gas that they put in your eye and you're face down for 7 days. Yesterday, I had cataract surgery and I was hoping to get like 50% of my eyesight back. And unfortunately, I have 0% eyesight left. So I might go back to wearing an eye patch. And my pupil is like the size of a pin. It was the size of like a saucer. But, anyways, so I've been a little bit of like not trying to let it get to me, but it's just frustrating. I'm only 46, and now I've lost almost 100% of my eyesight in that eye. Like I can see a little bit of light on the fringe, but I can't make anything out. So, anyways, I needed a good laugh. Thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, this wasn't supposed to be a long episode today. I actually have to go to the eye doctor shortly. So please feel free to leave me comments and stuff, what you want to topics you want covered. If you have an association, if there's something you want me to cover on one of these videos because you can't make one of the live calls or your schedule is crazy, or maybe you just, you know, don't want to have a one-on-one with me or anybody else, that's fine. Leave me a comment. I'll be more than happy to work those questions into our conversations here because I'm trying to bring up stuff that I know comes up on somewhat of a regular basis. And if you're getting challenged because you have an association, I want to make sure that you're confident enough and you're comfortable enough to at least handle the initial onslaught from these government agencies until you can say, okay, well, I think this is going to progress. They're not going to leave me alone. Or I'm a little over my head here. I'm really not quite sure what to do. And we find somebody that's a good constitutional attorney in your area and that sort of thing. So, that being said, let's see what else. Let's see. We got another one here. Yes, constitutional republic form of government this year, 2024. Yes. This okay, we'll talk about this real quick. It is an election year. In most, I don't know, here in Connecticut, we've got the House and Senate seats coming up. Town councils and mayors and stuff like that are next year. Yeah, a year and a half. So, I always try to, tell everybody, get out there, get vocal in your towns. The change is going to start at the local level. Just get out to your town council meeting, get out to your budget meetings, question everything they're doing, let them know that there's a voice. And trust me, you start showing up once in a while, you probably get labeled a problem citizen like myself, which is perfectly where you want to be. It's right where you want to be. But others are going to see your passion and others are going to start joining along with you. And I've already made new friends in town that I didn't even know were here based on going to some of the town council or the majority of the town council meetings and talking and speaking my mind, and then speaking out for others who are nervous or afraid to go talk. Like we had a lady here with an issue in school, and this is going to be coming up in the next town meeting, that she was basically told her kid wasn't allowed or wanted at school anymore because of his behavior. Instead of offering her any services, they just kicked her to the curb. So you need to be, I hate to use the word advocate, but I guess an advocate and a voice if you want change. And I agree, we can't put all of our eggs in one basket on one person or one individual. It's going to take a collective to bring this republic back to what it was. And I think a small part of that has to do with unincorporated associations where you can set up your own little republic and run it with your like-minded individuals who are all after that same common goal. So let's see what else we have here. Peace to the room. Hey, what's up? Well, I got a lot of individuals on today. Thank you for jumping on. I guess this is kind of a topic of discussion that people like. It's funny. It's either doom or gloom, or it's like common law type stuff that people want to get on here. But yeah, thank you everybody for jumping on today. We will be back tomorrow, and it is probably going to be the same time, about 1:30 tomorrow, and we'll go for there, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Make sure that you get over to the East Coast PMA. I'm sorry, back that up. Get over to the PMA manifesto and get on the newsletter, and make sure you find that link on the main page to get into tonight's meeting. And I will see you all there tonight. Hopefully, bring some questions. It's great meeting all of you in person and hearing everybody's individual stories and what they're doing with their associations and questions they have about their associations. Because one, it makes the hour go by super fast, and I like the back and forth in interaction. And hopefully, we'll see a bunch of you on there. And let's see, one last thing here. Going to town council meetings is a great way to meet like-minded, freedom-loving people. Yeah, that's pretty much true, man. That is 100%. And I'm in a small rural town. We are a college town, and it's interesting since I've been here the last almost 2 years now. The more I've been going, the more people I see kind of trickling in and commenting on Facebook and and showing up. So thank you all for joining me today. Hopefully that kind of answered the question between what's the difference between common law and statutory law and codes. And remember that if you have an association, you're going to want to use common law. You're going to want to see what statutes are in your area, that your general statutes for your state and the federal code, in order to enforce keeping bad individuals acting right, I guess is probably the best way to put it. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe also. I appreciate that too. Thank you very much. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. And I'm glad the audio is working when I share videos, so that makes life a lot easier. See you guys tonight on the call with the PMA Manifesto, and tomorrow. Peace. That's the wrong button.